I got sucked into a horror game. That would already be bad enough. But here's the thing. I'm only 3 years old. While other players were running for their lives from creepy NPCs and murderous bosses, things were a little different for me. The nurse covered in blood was wiping my sticky hands with care. The killer surgeon gave me piggyback rides down haunted corridors. And the final boss. He picked me up by the scruff of my neck, stared at the birthmark behind my ear, and narrowed his eyes. "Hey, Rugrat," he growled. "Who's your daddy?" I raised my chubby little hand and declared proudly, "Mommy said my daddy went straight to hell." The air went quiet and weird after that. Later, the final boss claimed he was my dad. I patted my flat little tummy, eyes filling with tears. "Daddy, I want my baba." Darkness, chains, bloodstains, screams in the distance. And me. A 3-year-old in pink overalls and bunny hair buns. You have entered the horror instance, Asylum of No Return. Difficulty, SSS class. A blue screen hovered in front of my face. I squinted at the glowing words, but all the letters twisted around. Reading was hard. The bunny charm on my hair bounced as I tilted my head. "Tim, what's this?" "Lily can't read." The system in my ear made a sound like a computer choking on a virus. "It's not Tim. It's system. Capital S, and this is a survival dungeon. You are supposed to be at least 18 years old to enter." The live chat I couldn't see exploded somewhere beyond my awareness. Who put a toddler in a horror game? Isn't this an 18+ instance? It's an SSS ranked dungeon that nobody has ever cleared. She won't last a minute. Press F for the baby. The system, Tim, sounded like it was sweating, even though it was just a voice. Lily, sweetie," it asked carefully, "how old are you?" I wiggled my fingers and counted very seriously. 1, 2, 3. I puffed out my chest. "I'm free." 3? The system died a little inside. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no no no. Help. It's my first day on the job and I've already messed up big time. I puffed out my round cheeks, ready for battle. "Tim, what I do now?" "It's system," it corrected weakly. Then it sighed. "Forget it. Listen, Lily. There are bad people here. Criminals and liars. You can't trust anyone. If you survive for 10 days, I'll grant the wish you made before coming here, okay?" I didn't really remember making a wish. Just that it had something to do with Daddy and Mommy and a lot of crying. My chest hurt when I tried to think about it, like there was a missing piece inside. 10 days? I repeated solemnly. "Okay. Lily is brave. Lily can do it." "Just follow my instructions," Tim said. "Hide in safe spots. Don't touch weird things. And absolutely do not break the monster's rules." "Thank you, Tim." "It's sis," he gave up. "Yeah. Sure. You're welcome." The fog around me began to thin. When it faded completely, I found myself sitting on a hospital bed. My legs dangled over the edge, kicking the air. The sheets were gray, stiff, and smelled like dust and something rusty. The walls were cracked and peeling, covered in dark stains that looked suspiciously like dried blood. Dim lights flickered overhead. A row of beds lined the room, most of them occupied by grown-ups. The other players. A girl in a school uniform on the next bed hugged her knees and cried. "I just finished my exams," she sobbed. "I don't want to die in a game." "Shut up," a burly man near the door growled. He spat on the floor. "Damn it. An SSS ranked dungeon. We 10 players need to stick together or we're all dead." He turned back toward us and then froze. "Holy crap," he whispered. "Is that a baby?" Everyone stopped talking and stared. I gave them my shy smile and waved my chubby hand. "Hi, everybody. I'm Lily. I'm 3 years old." A couple of people actually clutched their chests. Someone muttered, "I can't. She's too cute," another sighed, "What a waste. She's definitely going to die first." The girl in the school uniform sniffled and wiped her eyes. She looked at me with pity. Then she dug in her pocket and pulled out a candy. "Lily, here," she said softly. "It's yummy. Eat it quickly, okay?" A glowing notification slid across my vision. Player Tina has gifted you a B rank lucky candy. High chance of blocking one lethal attack. I opened my mouth. Thank. Tina pressed a finger to her lips. Shh. The ward door creaked open. Every light dimmed as a figure drifted inside. The nurse's cap on her head was stained dark. Blood streamed continuously from 3 eyes in her face, dripping down her cheeks. She dragged a massive metal syringe behind her, the tip leaving a groove in the floor. Her voice scraped through the air like nails on a chalkboard. All patients, she croaked. Blood draw now. Prepare for surgery tomorrow. All the adults turned white. The chat somewhere in the void went insane. GG, they got Nurse Bloody Mary right at the start. If she touches you, instant death. If one drop of her blood touches your skin, you die. If the needle pokes you, you die. So basically, you die. Tim's voice dropped to a whisper. Lily. Stay away from the puddles of blood she's dripping. Do not touch it. If she comes near, hide under the bed. Her vision is based on movement. I nodded very seriously. Okay. No touch. No poke. No move. Then everything went wrong. The nurse's 3 eyes landed on the wet glob of spit the big man had left on the floor. Her entire body started trembling. Blood gushed faster from her face, splashing across the tiles. Who, she hissed, dirtied my ward? The temperature dropped. Hundreds of thin needles rose into the air around her, all hovering, all pointing at us. Unforgivable. Scatter, someone yelled. The big man gulped. The nurse's gaze locked onto him, a needle already aiming for his neck. He fumbled with an item in his inventory, then suddenly pointed straight at me. It was the brat, he yelled. The kid spat on the floor. The nurse's head snapped toward me. Run. Tim screamed. She has a hygiene trigger. She kills anyone who dirties her ward. Lily, hide. Now. I tried to slide off the bed, but my legs were too short. My feet swung helplessly. By the time they brushed the air near the floor, shadows fell over me. I looked up. The nurse was right there. 3 eyes. Rivers of red. Syringe dragging. Needles swirling. The grown-ups held their breath. Pretty lady, I whispered. Tim stopped screaming. The nurse blinked. Actually blinked. I batted my long eyelashes at her and lifted my arms. Lily wants a hug. Pretty lady. The blood pouring from her eyes turned into a steady stream. Her pale cheeks flushed bright red underneath all the gore. Some droplets splashed onto my hand. It felt warm and sticky. I poked it curiously. Then I dug around in my bunny backpack and pulled out a bandage with a smiling bear on it. I reached up on tiptoes and tried to stick it over the crack in her bleeding forehead. See? I said. Fix. Mommy says if you put a sticker on the hurt, the pain flies away. Behind me, someone whispered hoarsely, it's over. The kid touched the blood. Game over. Another groaned, what kind of useless item is a band-aid? She's trying to talk to a boss NPC. She's literally asking to die. But the next second, the impossible happened. The blood stopped. The streams that had been pouring from the nurse's third eye since who knows when slowed, then halted completely. The air went still. The needles dropped to the floor. The nurse stared at me. Her expression slowly changed. The deep grooves of hatred and rage smoothed out. Her voice, when she spoke again, was soft and shaky. Lily is a good girl, she whispered. She pulled a clean cloth from her pocket and carefully wiped my hands. Hands dirty. Blood bad. Must be clean. The chat went dead silent. Did we all just see that? The boss NPC is cleaning the kid's hands? Nurse Bloody Mary is a top-tier kill-on-sight monster. Normal items don't work on her. What kind of band-aid was that? In my ear, Tim sounded like someone had unplugged him and plugged him back in. That bandage. He muttered. I can't believe it. That was an S-rank divine patch. It can heal any wound, even ghost wounds. And you? You have a whole stack of them in your backpack. Lily, where did you get those? I scratched my cheek. Dunno. Stickers were always in my bag. Mommy put them. The nurse gently lifted me off the bed and held me on her hip like I was made of glass. Now that she wasn't bleeding and screaming, she actually looked kind of pretty. Her voice was soft. "Thank you, Lily," she said. Up close, I could see how tired her eyes were, like she had been hurting for a very long time. The pain must have been there since she died. Now it was gone. She looked at me like I was the only bright thing in the entire rotten hospital. "Can Auntie give you a kiss?" she asked shyly. "Okay." I nodded. "But only one." She absolutely did not listen. She kissed my cheek once, twice, 3 times, then pinched my cheeks with cold hands while her 3 eyes crinkled in happiness. I sighed like a tiny old man. "Being this cute is hard work," I muttered. "The burden of beauty." "Huh?" Tim asked weakly. "Nothing, Tim," I said. "What I need hide from again." "Never mind," he groaned. "It doesn't even matter anymore." While the other players hid, ran, and whispered in terror, Nurse Bloody Mary held my hand and teleported me to the nurse's station. It was a small room full of cabinets and glowing charts. A big window looked out into the dark hallway. No other monsters came near. "This is my station," she said. "No one hurts Lily here. As long as we don't meet that pervert, Dr. Butcher, you can stay 10 days and be safe." She grabbed a clipboard and slashed a line through a list. "There," she said cheerfully. I crossed Lily off the surgery list. Somewhere else in the hospital, a man screamed. Then a cold notification flashed. Player Big Mike has been eliminated. Remaining players, 7. Nurse Bloody Mary smiled sweetly, then remembered I was watching and quickly wiped the scary grin off her face. "Lily, don't run around," she said. "Auntie will be right back." She put her staff ID card on a lanyard around my neck, marking me as under her protection. The door closed behind her. In my ear, Tim sounded numb. "This isn't a toddler. I accidentally kidnapped a VIP." I swung my legs in the big chair at the nurse's desk and munched on cookies she had left for me. Everything seemed fine. Then the floor shook. A group of players crashed through the door, panting. Behind them, the air twisted into a tornado of black smoke. A tall figure strode out of the darkness, carrying a gleaming scalpel. Tim screamed. "That's him. Dr. Butcher." The players scattered. The doctor raised his arm, the scalpel flashing toward the nearest target. "Lily, move," one of the players yelled. It was Tina, the candy sister. She no longer looked like a crying student. She drew a long katana from her waist and blocked the scalpel with a shower of sparks, but the impact sent her skidding across the floor. Her arms and legs split open in bloody lines. Fear squeezed my chest. "Tim, what do I do?" I cried. "Candy sister helped me. Mommy says always pay back kindness." "It's okay," Tim said quickly. "Tina is actually a top-ranked player. She pretends to be weak. She can handle him. Just stay put." But I didn't care about rankings. I only saw her blood. I remembered what Mommy told me before I made my wish. "If you're scared, squeeze this," she said, putting a pendant into my little hand. "It will keep you safe." I reached up and pulled off the tiny pendant from my hair bun. It was shaped like a teardrop, glowing faintly blue. I squeezed it as hard as my little fingers could. Warmth spread from my palm up my arm and into my chest. I jumped off the chair and ran into the middle of the fight, stomping my feet on the floor as hard as I could. "Bad ghost," I shouted at Dr. Butcher. "Freeze. Stop fighting right now." The scalpel stopped a breath away from Tina's throat. The black smoke around the doctor sputtered. He turned to me, head tilting, eyes like empty hollows glowing faintly red. Slowly, the knife lowered. None of the players moved. Nobody even dared to breathe. "Who taught you that?" Dr. Butcher's voice was rough, broken, like it had been rusting for years. "Mommy," I said. "Mommy says if someone is bad, you tell them they bad. Then they say sorry." His fingers twitched. Behind me, Tina whispered, "What kind of cheat? Is this child?" I walked up to the doctor, unafraid, and stared at him. Up close, he smelled like disinfectant and old steel. "Are you gonna say sorry?" I asked. He stared at me for a long moment. "I don't apologize," he said finally. "But..." He looked at Tina, bleeding on the floor. "She protected you. That is good behavior." He reached into his tattered coat and pulled out another candy, this one shaped like a tiny heart. He pressed it into my hand. "Payment," he said. "For stopping the fight." "What's payment?" I asked. "Reward for following the rules," he said. The corridor lights flickered as he straightened up. His voice rolled out like thunder. "Anyone who dares harm this child," he announced, "will be admitted to my operating room." Every living player shuddered. Then he vanished in a swirl of black smoke. Silence fell. I walked back to Tina and stuck one of my bare band-aids on her arm. Her bleeding cuts closed with a faint shimmer of light. She stared at me, eyes wide, voice trembling. "Lily," she whispered, "what are you?" I tilted my head. "Baby." Tim released a long, broken sigh in my ear. "I need a firmware update." Before I could reply, the temperature in the entire building dropped. Frost crawled along the windows. The lights dimmed to almost nothing. Power. Heavy, suffocating power pressed down from above. Tim's voice shook. "Lily. Listen. This is not a joke. Something is coming. This presence. It's the final boss. The warden of the asylum. The strongest entity in the whole game. Do not talk to him like you talk to the others. Do not ask for hugs. Do not call him." The door exploded inward, ripped off its hinges without being touched. He stepped through. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a long black coat that flowed around him like a shadow. Heavy chains wrapped around his wrists and chest, glowing with faint symbols that hurt my eyes to look at. His boots cracked the tiles with every step. His eyes glowed a deep, smoldering red. Every adult player dropped to their knees, crushed by the pressure. Tim whimpered. "Lily, don't move. That's the man who picked you up before. The one who asked who your father was. The one who..." The warden stopped in front of me. His shadow swallowed me whole. He reached down with a gloved hand, fingers brushing the back of my ear, lifting my hair away. His eyes focused on the small crescent-shaped birthmark there. His expression changed. "So it really is you," he murmured. I blinked up at him. "Hi, mister." The chains on his arms rattled violently. His voice came out low and dangerous. "Lily. Who told you? Your father went to hell?" "Mommy," I said. "Mommy said Daddy did something very bad. Daddy went to hell forever." For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then the warden's power surged. Cracks split the floor. Lights popped, showering sparks. The walls shook. He closed his eyes and exhaled slowly, fighting something inside himself. Then he picked me up with surprising gentleness and held me tight against his warm chest, one big hand cradling the back of my head like I was fragile porcelain. "I've been searching for you," he said. "For a very, very long time." I pressed my ear against him. His heartbeat boomed like a big drum. "Mister," I asked softly, "why you look angry?" He paused. "I'm not angry." He was completely lying. But I didn't know that. I only knew I felt safe and warm in his arms. I tucked my face into his coat. "Daddy," I mumbled sleepily, "I want my baba." He went completely still. Somewhere in the system's control room, Tim started screaming. "She did it. She called the final boss Daddy. We're all going to die. This is it. Game over. Shut it all down." But the warden only drew me closer, his voice dropping into a rough whisper. "Yes," he said. "Daddy's here." His chains rattled again, but under the rage there was something else. Relief. Pain. Something like love, twisted and locked away for too long. The other players watched in horrified silence. The final boss. Is the baby's dad? Is this a family reunion arc? Wait, did the horror game just turn into a parenting simulator? The days that followed were strange and terrifying for everyone except me. While players ran from screaming ghosts and murderous doctors, I spent most of my time at the nurse's station coloring on old charts with red pens, eating cookies, and taking naps in the warden's office. Nurse Bloody Mary braided my hair with ribbons she found in lost property and wiped my hands every time I touched something dirty. Dr. Butcher adjusted a broken tripod so I could watch cartoons on a flickering monitor. Monsters that had once chased players now hid when they saw the tiny girl in pink overalls walking hand in hand with the most feared entities in the instance. If anything looked at me wrong, the warden's chains rattled. If anyone touches my daughter, he would say calmly, I will restart the entire instance. The monsters shivered. The players shivered harder. Daughter? One whispered. Did you hear that? He said daughter. Just don't make eye contact with her, another muttered. She's the true final boss. Every night, when the ward grew quiet and the screams faded into distant echoes, the warden sat with me in his dark office. Papers, chains, and strange symbols covered the walls. He would light a single candle and set me on his desk. Daddy? I asked one night. Why mommy say you bad? He looked at me for a long time. I did something terrible, he said softly. A long time ago, in another life. I made a deal with something I shouldn't have. To protect you and your mother, I took the punishment alone. My soul was dragged to this place. He tapped the desk lightly. This asylum used to be a normal game instance. Then I arrived. My presence corrupted it. It turned into the asylum of no return. No one clears it. No one can. Because if someone clears it, the instance resets. Reset? I repeated. Like restarting a game? He nodded slowly. Yes. And if it resets, everything will be wiped. Including me. I blinked at him. Daddy will go away. I whispered. He did not answer. Tim's voice was soft for once. Lily. That wish you made before coming here. Do you remember it now? I hugged my bunny backpack to my chest. I wanted Daddy back, I whispered. I told the shiny door I wanted Daddy, even if Daddy was in a scary place. The warden closed his eyes. For the first time, the chains on his arms seemed less like weapons and more like shackles. The system heard your wish, Tim said. It dragged you here because the core of this instance is linked to your father's soul. If you survive 10 days, your wish will be granted. But the game didn't predict that the boss would remember who he was. The warden opened his eyes again, looking at me like I was the only real thing in the world. Lily, he said, when the 10th day comes, you will have to choose. If you clear the instance, you'll leave this place. You'll wake up with your mother in the normal world. Safe and sound. But I will vanish with the reset. My chest hurt. What if I don't clear? I asked. Then Daddy stays? If you fail, Tim said quietly, your soul will be trapped here with him. Forever. Forever is long, I whispered. The warden's hand gently covered my tiny fingers. You're only 3, he said. You shouldn't have to make this choice. But the clock in the corner of my vision kept ticking down. 9 days. 8. 7. During those days, I watched people live and die. Some players sacrificed themselves to save others. Some tried to betray everyone and got dragged screaming into Dr. Butcher's operating room or drowned in Nurse Mary's blood pool. Sometimes, the warden himself appeared and stared down anyone who thought about using me as a shield or a bargaining chip. One man tried to grab me, thinking the bosses would go easy on him if he held me hostage. They did not. The warden tore him out of reality so fast even the system refused to describe what happened. On the 9th night, I couldn't sleep. I crawled out of the warden's giant chair, dragging my blanket behind me, and padded over to the big window in his office. Down below, the hospital corridors stretched like a maze of nightmares. Tim, I whispered, if I clear the game, will Mommy stop crying? Yes, he said softly. Your mother will wake up in the hospital room where she made the wish. She'll remember you came here for your father. She'll know you survived. She'll raise you in the real world. And Daddy? I asked. Silence. There are some places not even the system can reach, Tim answered. His punishment might finally end. Or he might just disappear. Tears burned my eyes. The door creaked. The warden stood there, watching me, red eyes dimmer than usual. "You should be asleep," he said. I rubbed my eyes. "Daddy, if I stay, you won't be lonely." His expression twisted. "I am not afraid of being alone," he said. "I am afraid of you staying here. This place will never be safe, no matter how much I bend it. You deserve sunlight, toys, school, birthday cake, not bloody walls and screaming souls." I thought about Mommy, sitting alone, crying. I thought about Daddy, wrapped in chains, keeping monsters away from me. My tiny fists clenched. "Can I make a wish when the 10 days end?" I asked. "Yes," Tim said. "That's the deal." I looked up at the warden. "Then I know what Lily wants." The 10th day came. The system voice echoed through the asylum. "Final night. Survive until dawn. All restrictions lifted." Every monster in the building woke up. Shadows slithered under doors. Nurses laughed in the walls. Patients crawled onto the ceiling. The entire hospital twisted into a living nightmare. And at the center of it all, the warden stood with me in his arms, chains wrapped around both of us like a shield. "Stay close," he said. "Always," I answered. Monsters rushed at us, only to be shredded by chains or burned away by the red fire in his eyes. Those that tried to slip past him ran straight into Nurse Bloody Mary, who smiled sweetly and wiped their faces with band-aids that made them explode into mist. Dr. Butcher practiced surgery on corrupted data with frightening enthusiasm. The other surviving players huddled in the safest ward, watching in stunned silence. "Are we even needed?" one muttered. "We're background characters in their family drama," another replied. Finally, as the fake moon over the asylum began to fade and a hint of dawn crept into the sky, a huge glowing circle appeared in the air. It looked like the fog gate from the beginning, but brighter, warmer. "Congratulations," Tim said. "All vital conditions satisfied. Lily, you have cleared the instance." A message appeared only for me. "Please state your wish." The warden placed me gently on the floor and knelt down. His hand rested on my head. "Go," he said. "Your mother is waiting. This place will not hold you any longer." I looked from the glowing gate to him. "Daddy," I whispered, "if I wish for you, can you come too?" Tim hesitated. The system cannot break eternal punishments. It can only redirect, transform, rebalance. I didn't understand those big words. So I did what Mommy told me to do when I didn't understand something. I listened to my heart. "I wish," I said slowly, "that Daddy doesn't have to hurt anymore. Not here. Not in hell. Not anywhere. I wish Daddy can be with me and Mommy. In a place with light. Even if he's different. Even if he forgets a little. I want Daddy to be free." The whole asylum shook. Chains cracked. The warden's eyes widened. "Lily," he said, voice rough, "that wish might erase me." I shook my head stubbornly. "No. It will fix you. Like a sticker." The blue system light flared brighter than anything I had ever seen. It wrapped around him, around me, around the entire building. Somewhere above us, something ancient and cold screamed. "Wish accepted," the system announced. "Rewriting instance. Releasing bound soul. Migrating data to target world." The warden's chains snapped one by one, dissolving into light. His form flickered. He reached out and cupped my face, thumbs brushing away tears I hadn't realized were falling. "Lily," he whispered, if you see a man out there who looks a little like me, but doesn't remember, be patient with him." "I will," I promised. The light swallowed everything. When I opened my eyes again, they were full of warm, blinding white. I was lying in a hospital bed. A real one. The air was clean. The walls were plain. The lights were bright and steady, not flickering. A woman with tired eyes and messy hair sat at my side, clutching my tiny hand in both of hers. "Lily," she sobbed. "Baby. You're awake. You're finally awake." "Mommy," I whispered. I threw my arms around her neck and hugged her as hard as my little body could. She cried harder, kissing my hair over and over. The door opened. A doctor walked in with a chart in his hands. He looked taller in the real world, less scary without the blood and the chains and the fog. His eyes were a normal dark brown. No red glow. No swirling aura. But when his gaze fell on me, his hand trembled and the chart rattled. "Doctor?" my mom said, standing quickly. "Is she really okay?" He stared at the birthmark behind my ear. Something in his face cracked open. A memory, or maybe just a feeling, flooded in.
I know you," he whispered, before he could stop himself.
I blinked at him. "Daddy?" The word slipped out on instinct, the way it had in the asylum. He froze. My mom went pale. "Lily," she whispered, "he's not your..." He took a step closer. His hand rose slowly, as if pulled by strings, and hovered above my hair before landing gently on my head. His eyes filled with tears he didn't understand. "I've been looking for you," he said, voice hoarse, like something inside him had been waiting a very long time to speak. "I don't know why. I don't know from where. But it feels like I've been searching forever." I smiled at him, wide and bright. "Daddy doesn't need to know," I said. "Lily knows." Somewhere deep inside, in a place no system could reach, a chain broke for the very last time. And for the first time since I was 3 years old and got sucked into a horror game, everything felt exactly where it was supposed to be. Mommy on one side. Daddy on the other. And me, safe and warm, with no more monsters to run from. Unless you count the nurse who kept wiping my sticky hands. But that was okay. I had plenty of band-aids.